Hello, I'm Alex,
And I'm Sam.
and this week we are talking about creature features. Vampires, werewolves, and vampires and werewolves, oh my.
Alright, yeah. So today on the list we're doing Dracula 2000, Underworld, and Wolfman. So let's get started.
So yeah, first off, Dracula 2000. Start with you, Wes Craven film. If it wasn't obvious from how camp the film is throughout its entire very concise hour and like 30-minute fucking runtime. It is short, painfully short. You can, don't get me wrong, it doesn't outstay its welcome, which is very little. Once you get into it, there's a lot of good points in it that are just like, this needs a better movie. And other parts where it's just like, please end.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Because about halfway through the movie, I was just like, okay, so how much longer do we have left until the final fight?
Oh, it felt longer than it was.
It felt a lot longer than it was, so I'm kind of glad it was only an hour and a half. Alright, so number one, the opening of the movie didn't do anything for me, really. It's the ship, everyone's dead, and then the Demeter, and that's it. There's nothing else. There was no tie-in in the rest of the movie to that ship. It didn't inform about anything in the movie, because it's not, oh, how do we know this is a vampire movie? The title, maybe? Yeah. And also, you didn't see really a vampire in the beginning of the movie. You just saw everybody dead on the ship. So
it's a wonderful visual, but you need to make it relevant.
Yeah, it had no purpose whatsoever. So that could have been completely cut out. But then we might not have had a feature film.
Oh, wow. That's even worse.
Yeah.
It's like, so it is an hour, 30 minutes, and hour and 39 minutes. Mm-hmm. But I wonder if like they kept a few things and then added that just to keep it a little bit over an hour 30.
Probably.
Like it is.
There's quite a few useless moments in the movie.
I mean, we could have reduced this down to a short film.
Basically, yeah. This movie could have been a short film. Yeah. So we have Gerard Butler, young Gerard Butler, as Dracula.
I would never have known, even though it said in the title, it's like I just did not recognize him at all.
Really?
No.
I mean, yeah, because we kind of only recognize him as older Gerard Butler, like rough Gerard Butler. And Omar Epps is in it, and I don't have anything against Omar Epps, but
Time to Die.
I was hard pressed to remember a movie that I watched that I genuinely liked and enjoyed and found entertaining and fun that he was in. I don't know why. I know he's been in good movies, but I don't think I watched those.
Well, I've heard good things about Love and Basketball.
I know that's like taking away my black card if I don't love and Basketball, but I really don't like that movie.
It's okay. I usually don't like those type of movies either.
Don't, yeah.
But then I have no stake in it.
It's just like, yeah, guys, you're probably never gonna get a romance movie on I Have Questions because I don't watch them. Because I find them boring.
Cool.
And gross.
Come in this February for romance movies.
No, I already have a plan for February. It's not romance. Okay.
Romance.
Yeah. Speaking of romance, the sexual tension in this movie from...
Every woman becomes a slut the instant.
Basically, every woman becomes a slut in this movie, except for the main girl who is I'm guessing a virgin from the clues that the movie's giving,
not just,
never is addressed.
Not just massive amounts of sponsor. Like, I wonder who paid for the movie or who helped fund the movie. I would never guess.
Perhaps is it Virgin Records?
Maybe.
You have about 3 scenes that the store is in the movie, and then
constantly
the rest of the time she's wearing a Virgin Records shirt, or her friend is wearing a Virgin Records shirt.
We go back to Virgin Records in the movie probably like 3 or 4 times for very minor expository effects, and almost every time you go back, slow pan down or
slow pan from the title
or tilt
to the store,
tilt into the logo, or show the shirt with the goddamn logo on it.
Yeah.
So yeah, the product placement is it's really only Virgin Records, but it's still pretty like.
Oh yeah, there is nothing else that's
nothing else really
that's
sticks
an
out.
Obvious
It's the only thing that like abrasively sticks out. Like it is a sore thumb throughout the whole thing.
Yeah. All right, so let's talk about the catalyst of the movie, I guess. They're breaking into the Van Helsing vault. So the vault is in the front lobby.
Mm-hmm.
The entrance to the vault is in the lobby of the building.
Yeah.
Great.
Even if you're building around it, you could modify this.
Push it back a little bit. And they break into this vault, and it turns out the girl who was working for the Van Helsing character, turned out she betrayed him, and she works with these robbers. But the problem about it is we didn't have enough time to establish a feeling of that she's like a traitor to them.
Yeah.
Because she was in for one scene. The assistant tried to like get her to go out
creepily
with him on the date. She turned him down, and then next scene, she's helping the other thieves. And I was just like, okay. Usually when you do this, you're supposed to feel some kind of, as the viewer, you're supposed to feel some kind of sense of betrayal with the main character, but there was no time to feel attachment. So when she was going down the first time, I was like, oh, this bitch sees an open vault and she's just going to walk in there? Really? They're going to kill you. But then it turned out that she was just with them. I was like, oh, well. Okay. Yeah. All right, moving on. And they open the vault. They're like, oh, he's keeping this giant secure vault down here that doesn't take them very long to get into. It has to have treasure in it. And it doesn't. Yeah. It's a tomb.
Yeah. So if you're working with them, I'd assume any type of antique dealer and any type of like art dealer is going to have an inventory system. Period. And so it's like, how would you not know what's in there? On there, even private collectors will still have an inventory system.
Yeah, exactly. And he makes a comment that the other stuff was taken.
Yeah, it's like, oh, personal effects, personal collection. It's like personal collection still has an inventory with it.
Nothing was taken. You're saying, because they didn't take anything with them. There was nothing on that plane but the coffin, which they come up and how they convince themselves to take the coffin is just ridiculous. Like, nobody would do that. They convince themselves that something is inside of the coffin that is worth money. That instead of it being a body, because from all of the evidence, it is a tomb. From all of the evidence, it's a tomb. There's
no other valuables in the area.
There's no valuables. There's skulls and candles and stuff on the wall. There's a cross.
And the place
nailed on the door. And chained to it.
The place is a death trap.
Yeah, the whole place is a death trap. You know what he thinks? There's something in that coffin worth money. I was like, or there's something in that coffin that he doesn't want to get out.
Yeah.
Because, you don't just chain up and lock and booby trap stuff just because you're like, oh, I hope no one takes the family gold. Like, what? No. So the fact that they convinced themselves to open to take a coffin that they can't open, because it's sealed shut, they can't open the coffin. Nothing else of value is in the tomb.
Yeah.
And they're just like, yep, this is what we need.
That's what we came for.
This is what we came for. As opposed to, even one of the thieves says it. He's like, we couldn't go upstairs, where the actual treasure probably was.
Yeah.
So I was like, wow, I understand, you need this catalyst for a movie, you need a reason for him to get out. But I really hate that trope. And the fact that they were doing this in the year 2000, they're still doing this trope of we think this thing is valuable, so we're going to take it. Oh no, it's the one thing that can destroy the world. So,
thumbs up.
Yeah, we didn't know. So I just thought, and then when they're on the plane, there's no one else on the plane. There's nothing else on the plane. So when their friend disappears, they're like, he must be hiding somewhere. In a plane?
Yeah. that has a
cargo plane.
There's next to nothing else in there.
Exactly.
A cargo plane that also has a very nice inner cabin.
Yeah.
I feel like we crammed two set pieces into one another.
Yeah, it was definitely a set, not a plane. It was too big to be a cargo plane and like jet, a luxury jet.
Yeah.
Because when the plane crashed, it looked much smaller.
Yeah.
So it was really weird. I don't know why they just did it like that, but yeah. And then I feel bad for the cronies because they were like, we were here to steal stuff. Like, we're definitely getting some jewels, some collectible items, some, money, precious metals.
2 dead.
Nah, we're taking a coffin. And the thing that's inside the coffin is going to kill everybody on this plane. Yeah.
2 dead. Although, one point for that is when
the first booby trap happened, I'd be like, fuck you. And then she holds up a gun to be like, oh, you better open that up. And I'm looking at her like, or what? I was like, okay, you shoot me now, or I die in one of these booby traps trying to take this coffin. At least if a bullet hits my shoulder, I'm still good. That, like, the other guys got impaled.
Yeah. Point of contention. Why didn't I didn't see any flanges on the spikes? It's like that body should have slid off when it like casually rolled up, and Christopher Plummer or Abram Van Helsing comes down to check on the crack.
Yeah.
It's like, I think that would have just been funny if the corpse just like fell.
Slid down. He didn't even blink at it. He was like, oh no, coffin's gone. Well,
2 corpses.
Sorry, world.
What are you gonna do?
It's just like it was just these 2 corpses, or the entire world being destroyed by vampires.
Because it's the heft of his responsibility. But considering the movie aligns itself with camp, it doesn't deliver it well.
Yeah, it would have been funnier if it slid off.
Yeah, just in the background, like, son of a bitch, I got 2 bodies to deal with. Fall.
Yeah, I remember. And the thing with the priest. Oh, yeah, they introduced this girl into the movie in the most nonchalant way possible. She's like, oh, she had a dream that she saw the vampire. Okay, back to back to our regularly scheduled program.
Yeah.
Just like, who is this girl? Why is she important?
And it's a dumb twist at that too.
There's nothing leading up to this. They're just girls having weird dreams and vampire. Okay.
Yeah. So it's Mr. Van Helsing's estranged daughter, because he was worried for their safety, I guess.
No, she left him.
Oh, okay. Oh yeah, him.
The wife found out and left him.
It's like, you're over 100 years, probably 100 years old. So yeah, he's been sustaining himself with Dracula blood by putting leeches on it, and then taking the blood of the leeches and injecting them into himself. It's like, a junkie, like you do. And so, because he conceived a child, or at some point, that his blood, Dracula's blood, mixed in
with human
blood and then transferred to his daughter Mary.
Now she's I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. I was like,
and of course she's named Mary.
Yeah. Oh God. She's Mary. She works at Virgin Records. She's super boring. Such a boring character. Like, oh my God. Even when she turned into a vampire, she was boring.
It's true.
Oh gosh. She doesn't do anything.
No. Put upon the entire thing.
Yeah.
Simon, who I was hoping was named Belmont, but of course is named Shepherd, because, gotta tend to the flock.
Yeah. Yeah. It was.
I appreciate all the naming, I guess, in that regard, but at the same time, it's just like, so much camp, but not enough, but not good enough, because you're not playing it up enough. Like, eat it up. It's like, Wes Craven makes some good shit, in the sense that, like, sometimes he knows exactly what he's doing and makes, like, utter camp. This was not that.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, Gerard Butler as Dracula is also the most boring Dracula I've ever seen. I think they were trying to make him seem very dramatic, but he was just quiet. And they're like, oh, he has that smoldering look that every girl is going to fall for. And I was just like, he just looks like he's thinking really hard.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't...
Yeah.
Like, he's confused and he's thinking about what to do next. And that's it.
I think, wasn't... Yeah, he was the Phantom in the new Phantom of the Opera.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't
Yeah.
he, too? Yeah.
He was just as boring in that, too.
Yeah. I was going to say, it's like, why does this look familiar? Oh, yeah, I was just as equally disappointed with it recently.
Yeah. He's a very boring character.
Yeah.
Which, usually in Dracula movies, he's either hamming up the oldness and being like marveled by stuff, because clearly he's been asleep for a while. He's been asleep since the
turn of the century.
Yeah, since the turn of the century. So at least be confused about what's going on, or be super dramatic. Usually the Draculas in like the Bram Stoker inspired stuff are really dramatic and really like they seem a little bit weird, but because they're so campy and dramatic, you kind of humor them for like their victims kind of humor them for a bit until, oh shit, he's killing me kind of moment. But he was just creepy and boring the whole time. It was very confusing, especially because like I love vampire movies. I think even except the Twilight series. I was just like, but I like the ones that are specifically Dracula modeled vampire movies because they're always so weird and dramatic and what's this new thing? Oh, I'm going to use it to get my victims and stuff. So I like that thing about Dracula movies, which is why I was so disappointed with him as a character, because he was just, you made the movie drag on your own. Like, it did drag in other parts when you weren't in it, but Gerard Butler is at fault for most of the movie dragging. It was so bad. And I was just like, okay. And then we had the priest come in.
You could have cut out all his scenes.
You could have cut out all his scenes because it wasn't useful at all.
No.
He didn't give her any information.
Yeah.
He didn't give her any resolve for anything.
Yeah. And
he disappeared halfway through the movie. He didn't even come back.
I feel like the only reason that he was introduced is so they had a place to go later on in the movie for refuge, as it were.
But they weren't even there.
Yeah.
For very long.
No, they went into the library of it and then did a half-assed, fight
But I was
attempt.
just like, well then, why didn't you just have them in the library? They have those kinds of books in regular libraries. You can research the Bible in a normal library. You don't need a church library for that. In fact, what church?
Especially in New Orleans. So America is a young country. It's not going to
New Orleans.
Yeah, in New Orleans.
In New Orleans. What church has a gigantic library?
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, this is a 16th century text. It's like, why would you have that?
Yeah.
It's New Orleans. It's not.
Yeah.
No. They're not going to have the most pervasive library.
It's not a monastery. It's a church.
I like how we're like 3/4 of the way through the movie because it's just
there's so many moments that are boring, and then even when they have the puns, it's just because it's 90s actors, and because it's 2000, so you're still hyping up for 90s, and they're still using 90s jokes, but it's just meh. The girls turn super weird and slutty, which makes sense for the girl who was a thief because she was definitely using her appeal to get as high as she was. But the other girls that just started being like, oh, his essence. Oh, you get to taste him. And I was like, oh,
we just want to suck.
We just want to have sex and suck blood. And I'm like, oh, okay, this is gross. Because even they kind of hinted at it with the girl who was the reporter. Yeah. But she wasn't that.
Yeah.
She was just like, oh, I'm cute and I'm pretty and I look good. But like she's like, I live forever now. Time to be like super just lewd and gross. And I don't know. It was a weird changing character, especially the friend. Because that kind of like, she brought a guy home from basically her job. Yeah, even creepier. It's like, how do you know my roommate's name? It's like, why? I would not be soliciting or I would not be giving you this information you're asking for. Yeah. For somebody who like, oh, do you know where Mary is? It's like. Yeah, in his gross, creepy way. And then you're like, I'm going to take him home and I'm going to have sex with him. Yeah. And I'm just like, STDs exist. Yeah, vampire seduction aside, it's like, he's not that. I don't find Gerard Butler. Well, it's supposed to be the gaze or whatever one of the powers. Oh yes, the lustful gaze, and it's just like we're saying gaze. By the way, I just like when you said that for a minute, I was just like, wait, he's only attracted to. I mean, Dracula's always. Like, wait, what? I mean, Dracula is always coded gay. Yeah, Well, he's coded Victorian.
That's
And they're all a little guy.
What's the difference? But Tish.
But
foppish, I guess.
Yeah. So it's just really weird. And then after they have sex, she gets turned into a vampire, and then that's the only thing she remembers is the sex part about her life.
Like you do.
Yeah. And it's, I don't know, and it's not even like, here's the thing. I'm not uncomfortable with sex at all. I'm not uncomfortable with talking about sex at all. But I was uncomfortable with how sexual they were in this movie.
Yeah.
And that's saying a lot for me. Like, I'm not uncomfortable with any of that stuff, but the way they were acting, she was just like getting undressed in the cell and being like, oh, it just feels so great. And I was like, I feel mildly uncomfortable with this situation. It takes a lot.
I think it's because it lacks any type of subtlety.
Yeah.
More than anything else. Because you can get away with a lot if you imply some level of subtlety. Because, like, so Bram Stoker's Dracula, let's go there.
Yeah.
The film, with its myriad problems, still did a better job in some aspects of that. Because, Dracula seducing from afar, or Gary Oldman's character in that one, as we talk about better movies, which is still a low bar at that point.
Yeah.
Where he's like, notice me. Like, his seduction is subtle. Like, his drawing in. This is just like...
looking at you.
Hungry eyes.
Yeah. And all the girls in the mall who are just like, as he's walking by, they're looking. It's just like, you can tell they're kind of having mini orgasms as he walks by with the looks that they're giving him. And I'm just like, am I missing something? Is Gerard Butler hot and I just don't know? Because it's not that attractive.
It's like, my body is ready. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Play that up. It's like, the actor doesn't even have to be that attractive, but you have to be able to play it up in a way.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, at least he can be dramatic about it.
Yeah.
But he's not even that. He's just silent.
Yeah. Or being subtle. Like in Bram Stoker's Dracula with Gary Oldman's character. But this is neither of those things. And don't get me wrong, I would appreciate the movie not being subtle if its camp was well honed, and it really isn't, which is sad because it could have done with some more camp.
The thing is, it was pretending to be a serious movie.
It couldn't figure it out.
Yeah, it couldn't, because it was, you had the men in the movie, bar Dracula, being all punny.
Yeah.
And then the women in the movie being super sexualized.
Yeah.
And then Gerard Butler being really serious, but not in a way that's like, haha, this is funny, he's really weirdly serious. Just more like, this seems out of place.
Crawling in my system. Yeah, that's what it felt like.
Yeah, and the Van Helsing character guy who
was
got killed off screen.
Yeah. Way too good for this movie.
Yeah. He was really serious too. But also not in a way like, okay, you're so serious that it's funny. It's more just like, you're so serious that I feel like I'm supposed to feel serious with you, but I just can't.
Yeah.
Because Omar Epps is...
He was barely in the film.
Funny. He was in it for more than I expected him to be.
That's fair.
Completely.
As per contract. It's like, I'm going to die.
Probably as per contract. But he was being super punny and weird and fighting, and all of a sudden knew some martial arts tricks. Don't know where that came from.
Like everyone becomes martial artists once they get vampire strength. I guess
a martial artist and a sex fiend. So I was just like, okay, I don't know where they're going with the characterization of these people. So I was just like, all right, well, let's just ride this roller coaster, I guess. I don't know, but it was.
So since Mary is part of Dracula's blood.
Oh yeah.
On back to what is essentially the driving motivation. Dracula wants to have her for some reason. I assume to create another bloodline, which doesn't make sense because apparently you could turn people with a bite anyway. So
yeah, they get turned in the bite anyway. But he says that she's like him. So why does he want to turn her?
Yeah. There doesn't seem to be.
She's already like half vampire-ish. Well,
Somewhat.
Actually, if you do have the blood of a vampire, at least show something that makes you different from everybody. The only thing that makes her different is that she has dreams about him.
Yeah.
That's it. No powers, no long lifespan. Like,
there's no tie-in to it.
There's no tie-in except he can find her. That's basically all. She has a tracker in her. Yeah. That's it.
Yeah. This was our stakes.
Yeah, and it can't be like, oh, I just want a companion. Obviously, you turned literally everyone who you've come across in this movie.
Yeah. Is Mary necessary?
No, not really.
Yeah.
So that was a weak plot line in itself. Let's get to
The big twist.
the big twist.
I love this twist. Actually, this is the reason I recommended this film for it, because like I actually love this twist.
Really?
Yes, because I like the idea of it, because Silver is no wrong. Vampires don't fucking exist. No matter what your other kin friend may tell you, vampires don't fucking exist. That being said, you can write them however the fuck you want, but a pervasive part of vampire lore sometimes, also with werewolves, Silver. I love the twist of this. I like that. It's like, oh, Judas Iscariot took, 30 pieces of silver. I love that as a twist. It definitely needs a better movie.
Yeah, I think that's why I didn't like it, because I was just like, okay.
Yeah.
Because I mean, like I said, I've watched a lot of vampire movies, and I've seen the origin stories come from the Bible a couple of times, and usually they do it with Cain.
Yeah. Cain refused the sacrifice.
Yeah, and the Judas Iscariot thing, if it had a little bit more lead up to it, like a little bit of dropping of clues.
Yeah.
In the stuff in the Bible, but except for the fact that he's like, oh, propaganda, like he's hating the whole Christian thing. So
it's like, you were there. You were there.
Yeah. Yeah. Why would you say propaganda if you were literally there? So I don't know. That was kind of weird, but yeah, when the twist happened, I thought the same thing. I was like, that's a cool kind of origin for vampires. However, this is not really a good twist in this movie.
No, it's too serious a twist for a movie.
Yeah, exactly. It was way too serious for what has been happening.
That tries to be. I feel like it's trying to take both, because the earlier part of the movie takes the piss out of the Dracula legacy, quote unquote, and yet spends most of the time continually take the piss out of it. Or when it takes the piss out of it, it makes it seem like it's going to be serious. It's like, yeah, those myths, so silly.
Yeah.
Like it's going to tell its own unique, flavor of I mean, it's called fucking Dracula. I figured it was
Dracula 2000. They were really creative with this name.
Yeah. So it's like, oh, maybe it's going to tell its own flavor of it. Nope. I'm just going to rely on the same type of tropes, but it's not going to take them or do anything special except for the last part of it, which is far too serious for the rest of the tone of the movie.
Yeah. Because usually the thing about twists in movies is that when the twist happens, yes, it is unexpected, but you can look back at the movie and be like, oh, that explains so much.
Yeah.
That's what twists are supposed to do. They're supposed to shock you and be like, oh my God, I didn't see that coming. But now that I know that this is a thing, oh my God, this explains so much stuff from the movie. And it doesn't really.
It's kind of crammed in the last third where they're like, okay, when they're, researching at a church that isn't old enough to have the type of literature that would be, interesting.
Yeah, because the church is in New Orleans.
Yeah. But where it's like, his hatred for the Bible, his fear of silver? Oh, no wonder. No offense, but your father had been around for almost a century. I think he would have figured this bullshit out before you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So.
What? He never figured that out the whole time? Ridiculous. Yeah.
And I can't think of anything else for this movie. Really.
Oh, the stupid last line of the movie. How he dies.
Oh, I release you?
Yeah. That was so stupid. It was just so that she didn't die when he died.
Yeah. Which doesn't make sense either way, because
that's how it works.
Yeah.
She has poison, like vampire poison in her.
Yeah.
What? This was just so that they could not have her die in the sun.
So you can, put sequel bait in there. That'll never happen.
Never happen. This movie does not deserve a sequel at all.
I mean, come on, we got
it. Didn't even break even.
Ouch. Box. Oh, was it?
Yeah, $47 million in box office, and it had a $54 million budget. So, no sequel for you.
Oh, I wouldn't have made it anyway.
Yeah. God. But it was just, and she was. So, what is she? A vampire hunter now? Like, what's going on? I don't understand why they needed her to turn into a vampire and then not be a vampire, but then kind of be a vampire.
It didn't need any of these, honestly.
Yeah, that was my main issue in the movie. Why did you do that?
Low stakes.
Yeah, the entire movie was low stakes for her. She wasn't in danger of being killed at all. She was going to be turned into a vampire, but I guess my fear would be like, oh man, now I'm going to only be a sexual creature. There's not like...
Yeah.
She doesn't lose anything.
Yeah, she seems fine. Like, are the other ones imperfections? Dracula doesn't mention as much.
Yeah. The only thing is like, oh, I'm allergic to the sun now. Oh no. But...
In the modern... Well, I mean, this is before true internet proliferation.
Yeah, so when she gets turned into a vampire, it wasn't... There was really no danger for you the whole movie. At all. There was more danger for everybody else who was trying to help you, who were trying to keep you from coming into contact with Dracula, than there was for the actual person who was being chased. Which is why I was just like, okay, well, if she's a vampire now, at least show her, like, the change in her life and how she adapts to it. Nope. I release you. Bullshit.
How about...
Bull fucking shit. Alright, yeah. So... I can't really spend that much talking about the movie because there isn't really that much to talk about because the movie...
Final thoughts?
Final thoughts, this movie sucked, and I guess this is my payback for making you watch Casper.
No, this is not this is not anywhere near equal. This is not even as nearly as horrible because this had some good moments in it. Casper is irredeemable. Okay.
As a kid, I like Casper.
And you're wrong. We're gonna take a brief break, and we'll be right back. And we are back.
Yay! Welcome back.
We are continuing with Creature Feature with Underworld 2003.
What are you talking about?
This is my normal speaking voice. I don't know what you're on about. How dare you shit on me? Okay.
Alright, so, Underworld. Yay, vampires and werewolves.
Whoop, whoop.
Ooh.
The fight to the death.
I
Oh,
don't
wait.
know why I wrote this in my notes. This is British exposition. Just
Oh, that
question mark.
our opening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I don't remember anything with.
No, I really don't.
I just like her voice.
It's a nice modest setup to get you into the film. It's funny because the film does spend a lot of time talking, which is weird to say because it spends a lot of time cutting also, in the sense that like it makes a lot of quick cuts between scenes to various locations fairly quickly.
Yeah.
Constantly. So you never really get a good sense of any one character most of the time.
Or where they are.
Yeah.
Because you see, like, the subways, you're like, okay, maybe New York. But then you're seeing all these castles and stuff. You're just like, okay, maybe North New York?
Did you move the office?
I don't know. And then you see, like, the undergrounds where all the werewolves are staying. You're just like, well, okay. And then you see the apartments. And you're just like, oh, back in New York again. You're just like, what? Yeah, it's a weird, you don't really know where. And there's a lot of abandoned buildings that are connected to sewers that are way too big.
Yeah. For a place that, for these two ancient races that try to stay hidden, they do a bad job of it.
Yeah. Literally first scene in the movie. In a very crowded subway station.
There was a firefight!
Yeah. A huge firefight.
Yeah.
Shit tons of guns. Everybody misses.
Yeah.
Of course.
The cops can only be in the pockets of so many people.
Right? And you're just shooting up the train station. Still has people in it. And then the train.
Yeah.
Which also has people in it. And you're just like, how have they stayed secret for so long? How? How is that possible?
And someone's
I don't
going to
understand.
investigate.
Like, this movie is in the 2000s. There's cameras.
Yeah.
This could be on the news. They didn't even show like a clip of something end up on the news.
Yeah. Even more if it's in Britain, because I think their CCTV system was already active by this point.
Yeah.
So if it was Britain, okay. Hard to tell because half the actors are British. But
yeah, all of the vampires are British or Hungarian, I guess, and all the werewolves have American accents. Well, except for the doctor. The doctor's like German. He has a very German accent.
Because of course he is.
And then Lucien. Lucien. I guess he's British.
Yeah.
And then the movie's in New York?
Yeah. I don't know.
What?
I do appreciate in the contrived naming department that our main antagonist, one of our antagonists, is named Craven.
Yeah.
It's like ha 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 ha.
Also, Craven,
So
even he was just like, methinks the lady doth protest too much. He was pretty much a bad guy from the beginning,
Yeah.
and we all knew he was a bad guy. There was no sense of like, oh, he turned on them. How could you? It's like, no. How did no one else see this coming? Is my question.
he doesn't seem to be. He's not portrayed as a competent manipulator.
He's not.
So
He denies everything that Selena says vehemently and very like passionately.
Yeah.
So I was like, you're not even gonna try to investigate it? No,
Okay.
just silly, like silly ramblings of a silly girl who she seems to be very high up in the hierarchy. She's the leader of the death dealers.
Yeah.
So if anything, he should be pretty scared of her.
Yeah. So backing up because we actually didn't explain this. So so vampires and werewolves are at war.
Yeah, that's pretty much.
That's pretty much it.
That's
so they have an open gunfight. It's like, how is this not being investigated? The group that hunts the werewolves are the vampire death dealers.
Yeah.
On there, of our main character, Selena.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. Let's.
Sorry, that's Selena. Or Celine. I'm pretty sure it's Selena.
Yeah, Selena.
Because I would have been making Selena jokes even more if it was Selena.
Celine. Yeah. And she's lamenting about the fact that, oh, we've almost wiped out all the werewolves, so pretty soon I won't have a job anymore. And I was like, what? It doesn't look like y'all are doing that good of a job wiping out these werewolves.
And they're advanced. And it's also weird because, like, this extreme animosity towards werewolves to the point, and it's like, yes, ancient war, all that shit. But it's just like, these dogs couldn't have possibly have created, technology that, puts vampires out of their misery because they have these ultraviolet bullets.
Yeah, which I don't really understand because, like, okay, yeah, they are werewolves, but they're still people most of the time.
Yeah.
Like, they can still transform into what looks like a human, and they still have what seems like human brains.
Yeah.
I don't understand why you don't think they can develop technology like pretty much any other
they're all
being on the planet.
Look, they're both way ahead of themselves in terms of their arrogance regarding their superiority. Because the werewolves are like, y'all are behaving like a bunch of wild dogs, and then the vampires are just as equally like, the dogs couldn't have come up with this. Like, we are the superior bloodline.
Yeah.
That's
the thing, and it's just like, okay, you guys made silver bullets. Cool.
I mean, I feel like
silver bullets that explode, which I was like, okay,
that's badass.
That's badass. But it took you this long to come up with that?
No shit. It's like your ancient war. We've had gunpowder for quite a while now.
Right? And technology.
Yeah.
For quite a while. This seems like a modern of the day movie. So there's been exploding bullets for a while.
Yeah.
Like bullets that break on impact. So I don't understand why we had this just now. But yeah, that's in my notes. I don't understand why they're so like antagonistic and to the point that they're completely dehumanizing them in their minds. Which dehumanization, when two groups are going against each other, dehumanization helps to make it easier to kill the enemy.
Yep.
But they just call them stupid.
Yeah.
Like, not only are you dehumanizing them, you're also making it seem like they're really, really stupid. And you end up underestimating them, which is a huge problem, which is a big no-no during a war.
Yeah, don't underestimate your enemy.
You should never underestimate your enemy. You should always believe, like, okay, if we are capable of this, like, that means the enemy could also be capable of such a thing.
Yeah. So plan your contingencies wisely.
Yeah.
So sense of personal scale for these, ancient races is kind of hilarious because they're both profoundly arrogant in their regards to their superiority and both make dumb decisions.
Yeah. But
one has more justification than the other, but both are equally bastards.
Yeah. I mean, the way they play it out, the werewolves, because the werewolves used to be slaves.
Mm.
So the werewolves are kind of just trying to get on even ground.
Yeah.
And
Should,
Because if you're, like, they seem constantly being hunted and killed by vampires. So what are you gonna do? You're gonna defend yourself and then kill the people who are trying to kill you.
I feel like there's some sort of apropos situation in the real world that could possibly apply.
We're really gonna go there?
Are you not?
I'm trying to avoid it.
Why?
I don't know.
Look, the movie was made.
Yeah.
If it's gonna have the clumsy metaphor,
the werewolves are the black people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of which, the biggest badass is a gigantic black guy.
He makes Michael Clark Duncan sound like a munchkin.
Ooh, and is that his real voice, or do they do something?
I don't know. I gotta look him up later.
I gotta look that up because, like, that doesn't sound like a normal human being's voice.
What are you talking about, Lucian?
It sounds like a machine did that. Made him deeper. But they only do that to his voice. They don't do that to any other werewolves.
Yeah.
So I don't know why.
It's
weird. It really threw me off the first time I ever watched that movie. I was like, hey, is that his voice? Is that really his voice? And that's the only thing I could think about every time he was in the scene. Like, wow, he's really sexy. Oh, is that his voice? Oh, God. So in comes the main guy character. Oh my gosh, bring up his name.
Michael.
He's
a wet blanket most of the time.
Yeah, he's really useless, except when
the final battle.
He takes, well, yeah, obviously the final battle. But before we get to that, when he takes care of Celine's wounds.
Yeah, that's the one thing he does.
That's the one thing he does. He saves her once, and then she saves him every other time after that.
Yeah, he's the point that most of the film is supposed to revolve around in respect to the plot. The werewolves want him. The vampires don't know why. It's like, why are they chasing him? He must be important. And Craven's like, no, it's just a human who gives a shit. But it's like...
I feel like Craven should have found out about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But clearly Lucian was keeping that a secret. But my thing is, I don't understand really Craven's motive to keep the lie going the way he did. Like, I understand why he kept the lie going, because it's like, you use this to get your position. But now it just, because you're denying everything that's going on and just calling them, idiots and dogs, and they can't possibly be plotting anything, that just makes you even more suspicious. Which is why I'm like, why does no one else in this movie suspect Craven? Why is it only Celine who suspects him? Because he's super obvious that he's doing shit on the side. Like, calm down. Yeah, he wants to marry Celine, which I'm just like, I would be afraid she'd kill me in my sleep.
Yeah.
Just full stop. Like, he's like calling her, he's my future wife and all that stuff. And I'm looking at, like, in what scenario does she not kill you? Yeah,
she obviously abhors you.
Yeah.
And you've been around each other for probably a few centuries. She does not like the shit out of you.
She will kill you. Yeah. Why are you acting like she's not going to stab you while you're sleeping?
If you haven't endeared yourself to her after, like, probably, close to a few hundred years, she's not going to warm up to you in the next 2.
And I would understand, like, okay, if she was kind of the princess character, then he could use, like, your pride as a vampire, or he could use something to keep her with him. But he has nothing. He has no leverage.
They hint at some form of aristocracy, but
But she completely ignores it anyway. Yeah. So when Celine just goes over his head completely and decides to wake up Victor, which Craven was very terrified of, because Victor was the one who gave Craven his position.
Yeah.
And Celine decides to wake up Victor, which seems like a very foolish and ambitious plan.
Yeah.
Because there are 2 other vampires who are the elders. But you only want to wake up Victor because he's like your father. But Marcus could have also solved this problem, because he actually understood the problem more.
Yeah.
Because he's part of the bloodline.
Yeah.
So he was the vampire side of the bloodline. So he would have seen, like, Michael's last name and be like, oh, we definitely got to kill this guy.
Yeah.
Like, so she wakes up Victor, and it ends up being like, oh, okay, now I need your memories to find out what's going on. Which it seems like, okay, Victor's going to side with Celine because he has her memories now of everything that's been happening. So Craven's in trouble.
Yeah.
Craven's going to completely, like, be defanged and, like, all this stuff. And then Victor's like, you broke the rules. I must punish you. I was like, what?
Yeah. But clearly the rules are being bent already.
Yeah. Clearly Craven's breaking way more rules.
Yeah. So this is a point of emergency. I'm like, yeah, I guess she could have woken up Marcus for this, but it's just like, this is still some important shit. Do your job, man.
Yeah. But also, since Victor's the one who gave Craven the power, I guess she only sees, like, I need to wake up Victor. Because that's all she talks about through the whole movie. It's just like, oh my God, like, Victor this, Victor that. He's like my father. He takes care of me. You wouldn't do this if Victor was here. And I'm just like, oh, okay.
I feel like that could have been saved for a second movie with the resolution of what ends up being their crammed in dispute at the last, like, 10 minutes of the film.
Exactly. Like, if they had just left this as the fighting over the werewolves, like, I think that would have been fine in the second movie. Because the second movie addresses it anyway.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Alright, so let's get to it.
So that Michael is the werewolves have been hunting Michael because they believe his bloodline is capable of birthing a vampire-like hybrid. Yeah. Something more powerful than both. Both their strengths, not their weaknesses.
Yeah. That seems very interesting because it also shows that the werewolves are like, this isn't really a war that we wanted to fight in the beginning. Yeah. Like, we're totally okay with combining the races.
Yeah.
So that's how you know it seems very, like, the vampires are definitely the aggressors.
Yeah.
Because even, like, Lucian's plan the whole time is, like, I want to make this hybrid. I want to join the vampires and the werewolves. And even he's saying that he's willing to make peace with the, like, quote-unquote peace with the vampires in return for Craven being his scheming, you know, underhanded self. Yeah. So that's why I was just like, oh, the werewolves aren't really bad guys.
Yeah. So even though Craven is technically betraying the vampires for a very selfish reason, the you know,
he just wants to keep his
status,
top spot,
his ascension of power. Ultimately, it would help the werewolves, who are the completely wronged party in this regard.
Yeah.
So it's like, sure, Craven's a dipshit, but technically he's not a bad guy, unless in relation to the vampires, she's a shithead.
Yeah, because Lucian was going to have a baby.
Yeah.
With Victor's child, and I'm just like, okay, so Victor so vampires are capable of birthing children now? Yeah. Okay, cool.
Victor, the one of the three heads of the vampire aristocracy.
So Lucian fell in love with Victor's daughter. She got pregnant.
When he was a servant.
Yeah, when he was a servant, which they get to in the third movie. They show it's the prequel.
Yeah.
And Victor just kills her.
Got to
her and the baby.
Have to preserve the bloodline.
Yeah.
He does.
I love his voice.
I
love his voice. Bill Nye's voice is.
Bill Nye looks
so
disappointed.
Perfect for playing a vampire.
He's so disappointed in you. You put the cops in the wrong cupboard.
Yeah. He does it when he's doing he plays that perfectly. Like, he plays the role perfectly of the lead vampire, especially when he's turning, like, when he's getting back his strength. Oh god, it's just, the acting is so, I have that in my notes. I'm like, oh, the acting is so good, it just gave me chills.
It's Bill fucking Nye.
Yeah.
He plays a vampire like somebody who views things in terms of scale.
Yeah.
Like, he may have reasons that don't seem well to us, but for him, because he's thinking of it in terms of, like, centuries.
Yeah.
And he portrays that very well, of someone who's like, maybe he's a little, like, you know, horse blind. He has his blinders on, but because he's seeing things over such a long period of time, you can tell that his decisions are informed by centuries rather than just like, I'm here, I want this. No.
Yeah.
His machinations are much longer. So that's why he's like, he's fine with killing his daughter, because it means preservation of the system that, you know, keeps them in power.
Yeah. Because if the daughter had birthed a half werewolf, half vampire, that would have changed the view of a lot of people.
Yeah.
It would have started probably a revolt, but it ended up starting the revolt anyway.
Yep. So,
but it would have given the werewolves the thought that, oh, hey, we're not just disgusting slaves who aren't capable of anything. Like, we can actually join our bloodlines with vampires. And then, yeah. So, bigger picture-wise, it wasn't a good decision at all.
No.
But I understand what he was thinking when he did it. So,
So kudos on good writing on that part.
Yeah. It's just like, it's those moments, truly good villains make you kind of sympathize with them for a while.
Yeah. And then they kind of shit that. Coming back to that, so Lucian manages to get Michael the werewolf element that's important. Or the other, no.
Well, I mean, he was a werewolf pretty much since about 20 minutes in the movie.
So they never get they're trying to get the pure vampire blood into him from Emilia, which is one of the elders. One of the 3 elders.
Who
because they're like, it will catalyze and make, perfect. It's like, okay. Celine ends up biting him because he's dying to kind of preserve him.
Yeah.
And
so I was like, so he's not going to be the strongest then?
But
then again, Emilia is not strong, really, because she gets attacked and that's it.
Yeah, and she's an ancient vampire too.
She's an ancient vampire, and they don't really explain, like, Victor, it makes sense because Victor's, like, he plays the part as the head of the royalty and all that stuff, and that's explained more in the 3rd movie. And Marcus, because he was one of the first vampires. I don't understand why Emilia's.
Yeah.
And I guess because they just needed a 3rd vampire for the rotation.
Yeah.
So they were like, oh, let's throw this other character who's not important. We're just gonna use her for a couple seconds in the movie. So that was another reason why I was like, Craven, you didn't think this all the way through. You just switched the guard detail, which never happens.
Yeah. And
then Emilia ends up dead.
Suspicious.
I wonder why. Like, you didn't think this plan all the way through. Which is why I'm just like, I understand. Victor, like, he punishes Celine, but he knows that Craven's gonna, Craven's gonna either get killed or slip up. Because he's just like, this kid has stupid plans.
Yeah.
And if Celine, who's younger than him, can see through it, then I know he's gonna slip up. I know he's not good at it. So Victor's like, he doesn't really punish Craven, but that's because Craven's gonna get himself killed. Yeah. I feel like he thinks that. He knows that, like, Craven is like, okay, I'm gonna keep you alive because you're gonna get me closer to the werewolves. And then he just And then that's what they use. They use Craven running away and going to make peace with the werewolves to actually go after, to go find Lucian and find all the werewolves in one spot. So that was kind of pretty.
Yeah, they do.
But yeah, the big twist of the movie is that Celine, who this whole time she's been looking up to Victor and lamenting about Victor this whole time and how he saved her and he saved the family, turns out he actually killed Celine's family and he only saved Celine because she looks like his daughter.
Oh, wanky. Who cares?
Yeah.
I feel like it could have worked as a conflict for another film, because this film, for me, has too many points where it's just like, they're wrong. This is a fun film. It's fun, it's camp, it's bad. But it's well put together, for the most part.
CG's pretty well done.
Yeah, it didn't age.
Makeup is...
Resident Evil came out about the same time, and that CG aged way more poorly than this CG did. But it also helps because, it's so fucking dark.
Oh my god, so I couldn't see anything. I was actually getting really annoyed with the fact that I couldn't see what was going on.
Yeah, but I feel like that would have made a better point for, like, a second movie if we had maybe just done Marcus in this one, and then...
Well, the second movie is Marcus.
Second movie is Marcus, but I feel like they could have done Marcus in this one, and then Victor could have been in the next one, because that's a big conflict to have, the person who created you, but it's shoved in as a kind of a deathbed confession for Craven, who's like... It's like, oh, you think Victor saved you? Yeah. It's like...
And then she immediately believes him.
Yeah, it's just like, why would you...
Even Victor's like, what?
And Victor hones up to it real quick, too.
Because Victor's like, yeah, I did it. What?
Surely the gift I've given you. It's like, okay. That's like, I feel like that was...
Because he doesn't see it as a problem. He's like, I saved your life. I didn't kill you. I was going to kill the whole rest of the family. He was like, why didn't you not expect this? Humans are food. So... I don't understand what the problem is. Like, that's the whole thing. Like, Victor's just like, I don't see what the problem is. I saved your life. I didn't kill you. What?
It's always it reminds me of the bullshit the bullshit reasoning that gangsters usually come up with in movies and things, which is like, it's nothing personal. It's just business.
Yeah.
It's like, however you justify it to yourself. It's like, no, it's pretty...
But I mean, it kind of is for Victor.
Oh, well, yeah.
Humans are food.
Yeah.
For them.
Yeah. It's still poor ethics.
Like, yeah, it's horribly poor ethics, but he's been a vampire for 1,400 years.
Yeah.
So I don't think he sees human. I mean, he doesn't see werewolves as anything but dogs. You think he sees anything humans as anything but food?
That's fair.
And yeah, when she bites Michael, and then he becomes useful all of a sudden.
Finally.
Yeah, which is once again my whole problem with this whole you have a female protagonist thing. When you make them super badass, super cold, undefeatable, and in the last couple scenes, they're fucking useless.
They at least gave her the killing blow.
Yeah, she did have the killing blow, which I was like, well, at least that was the redeeming part of it. Yeah. She had the killing blow. But I really hate that. I really hate where they're just like, we're going to make this badass character who becomes really useless for a couple minutes so that we can let the male character be strong. But it's okay. We made her strong again later afterwards.
Hands up.
Thanks.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah. So, I understand, like, proving that he was strong. But, like I said, since they had the second movie, he could have become strong in the second movie.
Yeah. I think there's so much going on. And don't wrong, because they're introducing a world and all that. But there are better ways you can do that in terms of, like, they definitely do good jobs of it in some spots. Like, with Victor actually, his decisions making sense. Like, they seem like they're made on a broader scale. Lucian's sense of time as well is also well explained, and his motivations are pretty well explained too, but they're not like too ham-fisted about it. I think it's because it cuts so much in the sense that like we are in scene after scene after scene after scene after scene.
Yeah, you can't really get any attachments to anyone pretty much except Celine.
Yeah, which is, I mean, she's our protagonist, and I think it's funny that they try and make Michael this big character. He is a big part of the plot.
But he's not a big character.
He's not a big character, and their romance is just like kind of like romance, quote unquote, is just like really kind of like shoehorned in there.
Yeah,
I don't see a romance there. It's just like
it's not. It doesn't make any sense. You
saved me once, and I saved you once, but there's like no chemistry whatsoever.
He's not even talking to her that much.
There's no banter. There's no
like I was weary of you and kind of didn't like you before, but now you're growing on me kind of thing. Because the movie happens in a couple nights.
Yeah. It's like 2 nights. It's like, oh yeah, I fall in love with this person.
Yeah.
There's no
another reason why I was just like, this is gross. I mean, yes, you need the love aspect because that's what drives Lucian to help Celine because he sees what happened between them. But here's the thing. Lucian clearly had more time with his bow than Celine and Michael did. Yeah. So it seems very tacked on. Like, at least if they showed her, like, maybe following him more, spending more time following him, learning about him, all this stuff. But since everything happens so quickly, it doesn't really make any sense that they fall in love with each other. And the fact that everybody's looking at him like, oh, you love him. From what evidence?
Yeah.
What evidence do you have? She sees that the werewolves are following a human for some reason, which seems odd, which is like, oh, this seems odd. We should pay attention to it. And everyone's like, nah, you're just paying attention to it because you love him.
That's a weird leap.
No. What? Why? And she brings him back to the house. And they're like, oh, you brought him back because you want him to be your new toy. It's like, no, he's genuinely an interest to the werewolves. Don't you want to find out why? I would want to find out why. But I don't like it how they dismiss it just because they think, oh, the love portion. And then that ends up being true and it's kind of punch in the gut for you.
So yeah, final thoughts?
I genuinely like this movie.
Yeah, me too.
I genuinely like this movie. It has problems.
I mean, every film does. No.
But it's enjoyable to watch. The fight scenes are good. I enjoy the fight scenes. I think they're really cool. Except for when they're shooting and nobody's getting hit with bullets.
In a 1,000-year-old country, we've had guns for at least 400 years. Or
you
actually,
can't fucking aim. So
you got nothing but time.
I liked Lucian's background and story. I like that. Obviously, Victor's amazing.
Yeah. Poor Bill Nye.
Yeah. And then Craven sucks as a character. He's the smarmy backstabber.
He should be a better character than he's written.
Yeah, he should be smarter.
Yeah.
Like, if you were able to come... Actually, I don't even know if he came... It was probably Lucian that came up with the plan. Because Lucian's like,
just do your part.
Do your part, and I can get you in the top spot. I'll just go underground for a while. I don't need to be famous. I can continue this war from underground.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think they could have done a lot more with Craven's character and the girl. But I don't like the romance part. But final fight was cool. But I was a little mad that Celine didn't have more part of the party. If they had at least fought together against Victor, that would have been cool.
This movie already had 2 hours.
Duel fight, I know. But if it was a duel fight, like with Celine and Michael fighting Victor at the same time, that would have been cool.
That would have been dope.
But instead it was Michael, like Celine lost. Michael's fighting. And Michael looks like he's about to lose. Celine cuts off his head. And I was like, oh, okay. Sure.
At least they gave her the killing blow, which sometimes they won't even do that.
That's true. So at least we have that. Cool. All right. So
next up.
Yeah. So we're gonna take a break, and then when we come back, we will talk about Wolfman.
And we are back.
Welcome back.
This time with The Wolfman 2010.
Yes. The Wolfman remake of the original Wolfman. Well, sort of. And starring Benicio del Toro and Anthony Hopkins.
Anthony Hopkins.
We'll get to that.
It's Anthony Hopkins.
It is Anthony Hopkins, but I don't like his character in this movie.
He plays his character perfectly well.
I guess. Yeah. All right. So let's start with the movie. So it's basically there's a werewolf chasing after a guy in the beginning of the movie. Mm-hmm. Well, not really chasing him. He's out in the woods.
Yeah.
And then, screaming out in the woods, hello, is anyone there? And I was like, if you want my location, I'm giving it to you right now. Under the pretense of looking for you. So then he gets killed by the werewolf. And it turns out he's the main character's brother. Then, I guess, the wife of the guy who got killed goes to find Benicio del Toro's character, Lawrence Talbot, and say, hey, your brother's missing. You need to come home. Which I didn't really understand that, because you're not going to call the police. You're just going to call the brother. Maybe the brother can look for him. Yeah. What? Yeah. That doesn't make any sense.
In terms of movies, like, I understand why. Alfred Hitchcock line where it's just like, they don't go to the police because it'd be boring. And I'm fine with that. Although the police officer we do get, Elrond.
No, it's Agent Smith. He's even I didn't even write his real name in my notes. I wrote him as
Hugo
Agent
Weaving?
Smith. Yes,
okay.
I know his name is Hugo Weaving.
Oh, I forgot it. I kept calling him Elrond throughout the entire film.
No, I knew it was Hugo Weaving, but I was like, Miss Agent Smith.
Every time though, he'd like turn to Benicio del Toro's character, I just wanted to say Mr. Anderson.
Yeah, and he talks that way too.
That's just
he talks the same way.
It's just his regular cadence.
He can't really talk like that, right?
Every film.
But isn't he Shakespeare? He might be Shakespearean trained.
Possibly.
Maybe that's why he talks like that.
Possibly.
Yeah. All right. So he's an actor that's traveling in America, which is how they explain how he has an American accent, despite the fact that most of the movie takes place in England.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It's like you couldn't have a voice coach teach Benicio del Toro British accent. Cool. All right. Whatever. So yeah, this movie has quite a few jump scares in the form of a dog.
One really bad dream sequence of him, or one bad hallucination sequence of like the werewolf at the foot of his bed. One of which is practical effects where it's like somebody in fucking makeup like crawling up, and another one where it's like it looked like a still image being passed in front of the passed at the foot of the bed. It looked like someone put like a Wolfman standee in the bed.
Yeah.
For me, it was barely half a frame. It was barely a frame, but it was like for some reason like it just looked so like I think it's because it was still. I don't think it even moved. So there was like no transition in movement. So because it was just like such a quick hit, it just looked flat.
So yeah, let's talk about that. I really like the effects in this movie.
The effects are fucking amazing in this.
I thought the makeup was good when they used the practical makeup for him, and the CG for the transformations was amazing. I think, honestly, best transformation CG I've seen so far in all of the movies that I've watched. I don't think I've seen a movie that had a transformation that was so smooth
Yeah.
and real looking.
Fucking visceral as hell.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah, because it's like when you like how they did the sounds for the bones cracking and his skeleton like growing and expanding.
Oh.
You could feel it happening
Yeah.
to you so good. I mean, because that's the reason I wanted to watch the movie in the first place, because that scene is in the trailer. And when I saw that scene, I was like, of him like, I will kill all of you. And the transformation, I was like, I gotta see this movie.
So
I gotta see this movie. I don't care who's coming with me to see it, but I gotta see it.
So if you couldn't tell, we like the film.
Yeah.
Obviously. But I mean, we still have some things to talk about.
Yeah, obviously, there are still questions. Anthony Hopkins.
Really?
From the beginning of the movie, and I'm just like, do you care that you have children at all? Do you care for any other human being? Because he's like, when his son's dead, he's like, your brother died.
Yeah, he's extremely detached.
He's so like he's a sociopath to the highest degree in this movie.
Oh yeah.
It's terrifying. His like more than the werewolf. His character is just scary for me.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't care at all
Yeah.
for anybody in the house. Like
it ties in later to the end.
Yeah, it ties in later. But it's just so
fitting.
awkward and cool. Because you see it as like, okay, you think like, oh, the reason he left was because of his mother's death. That's fair. But like, no, the reason he left because his dad's a psycho.
Yeah.
His dad's like completely feeling and a horrible father.
Yeah.
And it turns out his dad sent him to a mental institution when he was really young because he saw his mother being dead. And what we learn later on in the movie is he convinced himself that the mother killed herself.
Yeah.
Because they probably implanted it when he was in the asylum.
Oh yeah, you're being tortured day in, day out.
Yeah, for your mother's suicide.
Yeah.
And jeez.
Oh yeah, that's.
Why would you even let your kids live this long if you didn't care for them very much?
So Hopkins is nuts, or his character is nuts.
He is nuts the whole movie, and the fact that the wife is just like, your father seems odd. He doesn't like me. Like, your father's crazy. We should get out of here. We should leave. So let's do that. The fact that they stay in the house for the whole movie.
Yeah, that's just like.
What? Why? What? I don't understand. So
yeah,
it's just really crazy to me how anybody would stay in that house.
So Lawrence, or Benicio del Toro's character, hangs out in the bar trying to get some, because it's a small town, so he's trying to gather information from the townsfolk. And naturally, of course, we
get some exposition.
Naturally, we get some exposition. And some of it ends up shitting on gypsies. And
some of it.
Okay, a lot of it shits on gypsies.
The whole movie shits on gypsies.
It's true. This is unfortunately tradition.
Yeah. For that time period.
And which is accurate in regard.
It is.
But it also does the thing of,
the gypsies have a mystical connection, and it's just like, oh god, they're just traveling.
Yeah,
they're just travelers.
Yeah,
they're transients.
Yeah.
They're not like.
If they're not magical Negroes, what do we call the trope?
What is it?
The magic Negro trope.
Oh, because we call it the magic Indian trope.
Magic Indian trope. Okay. Right.
Yeah, but.
Either way, I guess.
Yeah, either way.
Magic indigenous person or person of color or person who is usually maligned by society.
Basically, yeah. They're always more connected with the spirit world or the mythical world or whatever than the common folk.
Yeah. We come back to the gypsies later on.
And I mean, they do have a purpose in the plot.
Yeah, I feel like we could have actually not had that part entirely.
It wasn't super necessary. But the commoners are just like typical commoners, like being stupid through the whole movie, jumping to conclusions the whole movie.
The whole family is cursed. It's like, yeah, they weren't wrong. But,
they weren't wrong.
But they sound like nutters.
Yeah.
Small town nutters, which is fair.
Yeah, the whole time, because they start shitting on gypsies, they're just like, oh, he was attacked.
By a bear.
Which is believable.
Yeah, I mean,
bears exist.
Yeah, it's there's no real even Elrond.
Yeah. I love how they're like, there are no bears in this part, and like literally the gypsies have a bear with them.
Yeah, so it's like, oh, I mean, it's rational given the time. It's like they have no reason to believe it's anything else. They have their myths, and it's like, oh, the werewolf, and it's like even some of the other ones seem like they don't believe him either. They're like, whatever. Well, what about the gypsies? They have a bear. It's like, yeah, that sounds more accurate.
It does.
So it's like, yeah, that seems reasonable.
But it's wrong.
It's wrong. In terms of the bear portion.
Yeah.
In terms of the bear portion, it's completely correct.
It's really cute because when they find the bear, they're like, he just dances.
Yeah, and then the bear growls, but that's because, the werewolf was picking people off in the background.
Yeah, and because I love how the bear is just like, I don't know about y'all, but I gotta get the fuck out of here.
The fuck is? That thing's bigger than me.
Yeah. So the commoners do a lot of like building the fear and tension and stigma and making Benicio del Toro hate himself even more.
Yeah.
Especially when because we find out that Lawrence's mom was a gypsy, which I guess that's how they explain away the fact that he doesn't look British at all.
Yeah.
He doesn't look like he belongs in that town at all.
And the gypsy portion ends up giving us a vector for, because he's curious, he's trying to find out more information. The gypsies, I guess, are the only lead he has, since he doesn't think the townsfolk are very reliable.
Yeah, the gypsies are the only ones who actually believe in the werewolf.
And apparently his brother was pretty cool with the gypsies.
Yeah, they said he was supposed to be the liaison between... Well, I don't know what the Talbots do, but they have money.
Yeah. Or, sorry, Romani.
Yeah, the Romani.
The Romani.
So, I guess it's for trade, probably. They're doing things for trade, trading with the gypsies and getting money and stuff. So that makes sense.
So Lawrence goes to investigate, and that ends up being the vector for him to be bitten by the creature, by the werewolf.
Actually, the reason why he's bitten by the werewolf is because that stupid child was like, hey, everybody is running in this direction. Let me run the opposite direction of everyone else so that I am the easiest to pick off because I'm all by myself in the woods where no one can see me.
Kids make great victims in film. That's all they're there for.
And then Benicio del Toro goes to save the kid, and then he gets attacked by a werewolf. I was just like, well, there we go. So it wasn't the gypsy, it was just that stupid kid.
Yep. As is tradition. Kids are there to make poor decisions.
Yeah, and then the whole town is like...
He's bitten.
Yeah, the whole town is believed. That was the one problem I had. The whole town was trying to explain away the werewolf thing. But as soon as Benicio del Toro was bitten, they're like, we gotta kill this guy. Because he was bitten by the beast and he's totally gonna transform into him. I was like, wait, whoa. Where did this sudden belief come from?
Maybe it was another bear.
I don't know. Maybe it was a different bear. It could have been anything else. But they were like, nope, he was bitten by the beast. He's gonna change. We gotta go kill him. Immediately. It's just like, wow, you guys jumped on that train real quick. Yeah. And then we get Hugo Weaving's character, who is the
constable from Scotland Yard.
Yeah. Who is a dick.
Oh yeah.
In the beginning.
He's an investigator.
Yeah, he's an investigator, but he starts researching into Lawrence's past and being like, well, someone who's been in an asylum who has reason to hate this town and totally has a reason to kill people and attack people or stage his own attack. And I was like, okay, there's so many problems with your stupid theory.
Yeah.
Number one, the first couple people who were killed were killed way before he got there.
Yeah. Falls apart for that.
Falls apart. Number two, when he was attacked, there were tons of people around. And I know that they're like, oh, everyone who was attacked got killed. It's like, no, that's not true because someone shot the werewolf and brought him back to the town. So somebody could have been like, hey, he got bitten, now he's bedridden. And he didn't kill all those people because the thing that bit him killed all those people. Yeah. So his theory, I think, obviously he was using that as a way to rile him up and get him to spill information. Yeah. But I was like, that's...
It falls apart.
It falls apart immediately upon inspection. Because it doesn't hold up to any of the evidence.
Yeah. Like, he's pressing for more information, but it just seems weird.
Yeah, exactly. So it's really, really stupid. But the first transformation that happens...
Lawrence goes around, follows his father at night, and ends up finding his father going to his mother's mausoleum, or the community mausoleum, essentially, because it looks like it's a crypt.
It's just the mother's in there, though.
No, the mother's on top, but there's a lot of...
Oh, yeah, so it's the family... Yeah, the family mausoleum, then. Yeah. I'm guessing, because... Yeah, so he locks himself in the crypt. Yeah. And sends out Lawrence.
Yeah.
Which I was like, well, why did you even lock yourself in?
Yeah, don't let the beast out. Huh? It's like, no, let the beast out.
Yeah.
So it's obvious that Hopkins...
He wants to frame his kid.
Oh, yeah. So it's obvious Mr. Talbot Sr. is also a werewolf. Like, and that's part of why
surprise.
Yeah, that's pretty obvious.
Yeah.
Because, like, his extreme levels of detachment from everyone, he has nothing...
Yeah.
Nothing even remotely complimentary to say that isn't delivered in, like, the most, like, perfunctory kind of way.
Yeah, the dogs in the house.
Yeah.
His weird, like, furs and how he carries a gun with him everywhere.
Well, he used to be a world hunter. Like,
okay,
he would travel around.
Oh, okay.
Because that's even
the hunter.
How he even mentions how he ends up changing later on.
But he's definitely a bad guy. 100%.
Oh, yeah. So this works because now that Lawrence is going the transformation for the first time, and it doesn't appear to have any way of actually controlling it. Neither of them actually do. So Lawrence kills anything he comes into contact with.
Yeah, basically.
And he's horrified at this, because it seems like he possibly remembers it. And if he doesn't, he can still see the after effects, because he is drenched in blood.
Well, yeah, I mean, even if you don't know what you did, when you wake up like that, it's pretty traumatic. He's covered in blood and guts and dirt, and his clothes are ripped apart, and he's like, he looks very wild when he wakes up, and of course, immediately he's surrounded by
the cops.
Townsmen.
I like how they're like, the framing is that it's Lawrence and his father just like in front of a tree, and in the background they're in the foreground, and then in the background you can see them just like riding up on them.
Yeah.
It's like, by the way, they're coming here to take you. You needed a good enough reason. And just like, okay.
What?
Thank you, my boy.
Okay.
Or whatever.
But it's also just like, okay, how is this plan going to go? Okay, they take Lawrence away, put him in the asylum. You're still there.
Yeah.
And when the things start happening and when people start getting killed again, they're going to be like, oh, maybe the father has something to do with it too.
Yeah.
Like, the plan didn't make any sense because that didn't absolve any suspicion from you at all. It actually brought it more upon you.
Yeah, because if another death happens as Grizzly, it's all you now.
Yeah, exactly. So this plan, it was just kind of
it was all
I want you out of the way so that I can spend time with my daughter-in-law. That whole thing is really creepy. I do not like that. I do not like those kinds of plot lines where it's like, you're married to my brother is dead, and now I'm in love with you. Gross. Very gross. And the dad likes her too. Because the reason why the dad kills Ben is because they were gonna leave.
No, well,
Ben and the wife were gonna leave.
Okay.
And he got upset, so he went drinking, and then he passed out because he was drunk. So he didn't lock himself up, and that's why he became a werewolf. Mm-hmm. And the first thing he did was start attacking people and went after Ben.
Yeah. Well, he even said, I punched out Singh, his manservant.
Yeah.
He punched out Singh, so Singh couldn't lock me up either.
Yeah.
So he was drunk, one liability, and then he punched out Singh, so Singh couldn't drag him to go locked up either.
Yeah.
And then, of course, he transforms and, fucks him up, or fucks up Ben.
Yeah, so...
And it's weird because he frames both things as accidents. Which is how, like, he frames at least Ben as, like, as an accident. He was upset, yes. He got drunk, yes. But he was still going to lock himself up. But Singh couldn't do it, because Singh is his contingency.
Yeah.
To lock him up if something else happens. But he knocked out Singh.
And then he killed Singh later in the movie.
Yeah.
He's just like, why?
So.
Why?
It's a weird disconnect. I guess
he's like, I don't need you anymore.
I guess it's a weird disconnect because he frames himself as a victim to some regard, or
he just embraces it completely.
Yeah, but he it's like because he makes a mausoleum for his wife, he clearly regrets it because he has like this shrine built to his wife where he normally locks himself up, so he laments at least that much. But when it comes to most other life, he doesn't seem to care. Like,
at all. He doesn't care for anyone else's life.
Yeah.
That's why I don't really like him as a character, because he's too kind of, like, yes, he's a sociopath, but he is kind of all over the place about it. It's just like, if you don't care, you don't care. Like, you're embracing the beast, letting the beast out, okay. But don't pretend like you were sad or that you did those things because you're not showing any remorse, any regret for it. Talking about the mother's death, when you talk about it, you show no kind of regret, but you do have the shrine and everything. So it's like, okay, maybe he does feel regret. But then when he mentions it again, you're just like, okay, well, all that feeling is gone now.
Hopkins is a great actor. I think he probably realized some of the contrivances in the plot on there, and he could
have been written better. He wasn't written.
I feel like the smaller details around him were written poorly.
Yeah.
But his line delivery in portraying that detached
he plays the sociopath very well.
Yeah, even a line. So there's a line where he said, "It's like, oh, I'm quite dead inside, Lawrence. See, nothing behind the eyes." That comes off reading that sounds trite. Hearing Anthony Hopkins deliver it though, it's like it's cold and terrifying the way he says it, and it's great. But the smaller details that surround Talbot's character are just kind of eh. Luckily, the rest of the film is still gory as fucking fun.
Yeah. Yeah. So then he goes to they send him to the asylum, where he's basically tortured. And I have in my notes, I was like, wouldn't this make more crazy people than cure them? Obviously.
I mean, it's turn of the century medicine.
Turn of the century asylum.
Because even Hugo Weaving's character, the constable, it's like, weren't you assigned to the Ripper case? It's like, oh. So yeah, this is that era of medicine. Quote unquote medicine.
Yeah. I totally missed that.
Take your herbal suppository. It'll help. Eat, drink, take your mercury pills.
And then, so when the dad admits to killing the mom when he's in the asylum, I just remember thinking, you do know he's going to kill you now, right? You do know he's going to make that his mission to get out of here and kill you. Nothing, I know you're a sociopath and stuff, but you got to see this coming.
Yeah.
He's going to make it his mission to destroy you. And he can do that as soon as he gets out.
As soon as the full moon happens again.
As soon as the full moon happens.
He's going to rip through people.
He's going to get out and he's going to kill you. There's, even when he comes from Anthony Hopkins is like, yeah, I knew you'd be here. I knew you'd come after me and try to kill me. But let's do it as werewolves.
Yeah, it's let the
beast. Movie, by the way. Yeah. So that's why I was just like, oh, this whole revealing thing, probably not the best idea. But villains always do that. They always do the reveal just in case you didn't want to kill me before, now I'm really going to give you a reason. I want to cement that revenge feeling, so I have a little bit of fun. Yeah, and then, of course, the scene from the trailer when the psychiatrist, quote unquote, puts him in front of a ton of other psychiatrists.
The theater room?
Yeah, the theater to lock room. And I understand, that's how they did the turn of the century. We're going to prove this man is crazy to you.
Yeah.
But it's just but even if he's not a werewolf, he's still technically a serial killer.
Yeah.
So maybe...
Well, it's that arrogant sensibility of the time.
It's so arrogant, but it's just but he's still a serial killer, though. What?
They've got three cops. And he's in a straitjacket. And
he's not in a straitjacket. He's just he's locked down.
He's locked down.
By leather cuffs, by the way.
As is tradition.
They're not chains.
As is tradition.
So if something happens and you guys die, I'm gonna say you brought this upon yourself.
It's still that type of arrogance.
Yeah, it's that the doctor's arrogance. I know what I'm talking about. And I was like, maybe you should have let one full moon pass first before you decided to show him off in front of 40 people.
Yeah. So this is his second part in the asylum because the first part was when he was originally committed because he did in fact witness his father as a werewolf murdering his mother.
Yeah.
So that's why it's kind of ties back into that in that regard. So
that's why it's completely understandable
that he
was there for the first time.
Yeah, and then hates his father, rightfully so, also for the double brainwashing.
Yeah, and that scene where he's just you guys were stupid. I'm going to kill all of you. Just wait. The delivery is the best part. Like I said, that was the moment in the trailer I was like, I gotta see this. This is gonna be good. So that moment, and then they're just like, ha 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 ha, you silly boy. And then when he starts transforming, I love it because Hugo Weaving's character sees it immediately. He sees the twitching and the changing of bones, and he's like, okay, maybe we should have paid a little bit more attention to this. And then it isn't until his feet and hands start really showing it, and then his head kind of grows, that the other doctors are like, we need to get the fuck out of here.
Shit
but
got
it's
real.
too late. It's too late because they end up locking themselves in the room because they're bum rushing it.
Yeah.
Just like,
because it's, of course, the doors open inwards or
Yeah.
into the room itself naturally, just so it's easier for tables to come in but not get out just in case.
yeah.
But yeah, liability.
Yeah.
I love the fumbling with what is essentially the janitor outside the room.
Yeah, where they're like, open the door. He's like, it's locked. What do I do?
Yeah. You got the key.
Like, you guys have the key. I don't understand the problem.
Yeah.
Why do I have to open the door?
You're going to tell me that door is that well insulated. Steel or not, like the whole room is
I
screaming.
think they break the glass or something.
I think so. I don't remember.
Yeah, they like break the glass.
Look,
Like,
I'm watching Benicio del Toro kill motherfuckers. I'm happy.
yeah. So, oh god, the CG for that is so good. And, of course, then we have Hugo Weaving using a pistol to shoot a werewolf.
Yeah. Well, even he mentions, like, do you have silver bullets? Like, yeah, I like that he's very on top of it, and I appreciate that. Because he's very competent. Because he goes around just like, all right, get the boys. No! Like, even though one cop is, like, writing somebody up for something, he's like, get the boys.
Yeah. And also they call it, when they're introducing him as a psychopath to all the people, they're like, he's using his irrational fear of werewolves. And I was like, first of all, it wasn't his fear. Yeah. It was the whole fucking town's fear.
Yeah.
The whole town is clearly up on this werewolf thing that made him afraid. Lawrence wasn't afraid in the beginning because he was like, I don't believe you guys.
Superstitious.
Like, I'm going to find out what killed my brother, but it was probably a bear or a person.
Yeah.
And they're like, his irrational fear of werewolves. Nobody has ever said he had an irrational fear of werewolves. The town has an irrational fear of werewolves. Everybody in this fucking town believes in werewolves, except for you guys. So now, I was just like, well, you deserve everything that's about to happen to you. And, yeah, because then he, the werewolf running around the town, which I'm surprised more people didn't die. But, Hugo Weaving's character, shooting from a very far distance, kind of blindly, with a pistol. Do you really think you're going to hit him or even hurt him at any point from that distance with a pistol? Like, come on. It seems actually that when he's a werewolf, because he does stop and, like, drink water and stuff.
Yeah.
So, like, it seems even as a werewolf, once he finds a place where there's no people, he just kind of stays there. What I'm wondering is, how do you get his cane back is my question.
No, he just had a random cane.
No, that was his cane.
No, it wasn't. I looked. It was just a wood stick. His father had the cane later on.
Oh, his father had the cane. That's how he got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So because it, came up early in the film, which is his awesome cane sword, but it only comes up again the last
how
scene.
He gets the cane is really hilarious too. It's just this guy is like, oh, you're interesting. Gonna leave you with this super intricate and dangerous cane. Nah, I don't need it. That's cool. It's just like, I'll leave it for you anyway. I was like, what are you, like, some freaking, like, oracle or something? This like divine intervention indeed.
I mean, it's a good callback it's a good part of the theme because it's like an old man is leaving his what was part of his history to a younger man. In some ways,
well, that's what he saw it as. He didn't.
That's what old man saw it as. But that's a projection for the audience to see that with Hopkins or Talbot and Lawrence.
I guess
because he's passing something of himself onto it. So that's the time for it.
Yeah. The Sir Talbot, he definitely he sees it as a good thing that Lawrence is a werewolf now because he's like, oh no,
yeah, the son
like the son that I cast aside is now my legacy kind of thing, and I'm just like, ooh, creepy.
He's like, this is the man I wanted you to be, Lawrence.
Yeah.
So we don't mention it. We haven't mentioned her much. Gwen.
Oh.
Yeah,
Gwen.
we've only mentioned it in terms of like, yeah, it's like the brother's,
the brother's wife that you end up banging later.
They don't have sex.
Oh no, sorry, they don't have sex. You end up falling in love with.
Yeah. They're very awkward scenes that aren't necessary to the plot. Like
it's that coming together in grief thing, but I guess I don't know, but a lot's going on.
Yeah, a lot's going on, and the only reason it's kind of there is so we have somebody who can attempt to save Lawrence, and they of course go back. The Romani first treat Lawrence for the wounds. They're talking amongst themselves and say, only like love can break this or something.
Yeah.
Sure enough, it does, but he dies anyway.
That's the thing. It's just like they say only love can break, and I was like, what? Are they gonna bang or what?
Yeah.
How?
So it's not really relevant to it because
it doesn't, because it just ends up. It's not love that does it. It's the fact that he's distracted for a couple seconds.
And then she shoots him with a silver bullet. She shoots him with a silver bullet.
So it wasn't really love. It could have been anybody. Anybody could have done that.
Yeah. And Lawrence was happy enough to die. He's just like, thank you.
Yeah. I mean, he didn't like me.
Oh, yeah. No.
Anyway, so, yeah.
Oh, I totally would have asked for death, too. It's like after I killed my father.
Yeah. It's just like, let me kill this guy first, then you can kill me.
Yeah.
But I got to make sure I kill this guy first.
Yeah.
The fight was amazing. I'm surprised. So this is a good example of spending your money wisely in a movie. They spent their money on the CG budget for this scene, so it doesn't look shitty and fake. Which I was just like, this is how you're supposed to do it. If you're gonna have a creature movie, spend your money on the creature.
Who would have thought? What a concept.
Yeah, spending your money on the creature in the movie. So, there's a scene in the end where they kind of pan towards Hugo Weaving's character, the investigator. Because I guess, did he get bit?
Yeah, he got bit by Talbot.
Okay, so now he's a werewolf.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I was just like, okay, that's interesting, but this movie's not going to have a sequel, so why?
Yeah.
I guess it's like, okay, well, this town will never be truly rid of their werewolves because...
Well, things don't end in neat packages in general.
That's true, yeah.
So I like that it does that. And then he's holding the sword that Lawrence first gets from the old man. So that legacy is being passed down.
I'm glad you saw the symbolism in that.
No.
I completely missed that. So yeah, final thoughts about the film?
Loved it. I mean, the outer... Honestly, the parts that are troublesome are made better by great effects, which is rare, and great performances.
Yeah.
So, like, the meat of the story is solid, though it has a little part.
How much was this movie, by the way? Oh, $150 million.
Yeah, so it didn't make its money back. But in fairness, Hollywood accounting.
Yeah. So
it could have made its money back. Actually, its budget could have been lower than that, for all we know.
Yeah, probably.
So.
But the money was spent very wisely on good actors and good effects and good environments.
Oh God, yes.
I was totally immersed in the film when watching the movie, and I think so. Obviously, so far, it's the best movie we've watched in this series.
Yeah, of everything we've done so far, even with its problems, it has the most good out of bad.
Yeah.
Of anything we've watched so far. Between cinematography's great, shots are great, shots in general are great.
Yeah.
Effects are used sparingly, and when they are used, they're with good intent and purpose. The actors are delivering very well throughout this film, and everyone has a unique personality to them, except for Gwen. But
yeah,
because everyone has a character.
But that tends to happen with the.
And it's a small cast.
The female,
the
female to the protagonist.
Yeah.
That tends to happen, with all the characterization of the villain and the main character and the side characters who are figuring out what's going on. There was none left for her. Yeah, sadly. So, that's fine. I feel like the brother has more character.
Sing has more character.
I was really... When they showed that Sing had died, I was mad.
Yeah.
I was like, what? I really liked him. I wanted him to be in the movie more. Yeah. So, yeah, I really liked Sing's character. Yeah. Everybody, like you said, everybody pretty much had a purpose for Gwen, but kind of had a purpose. Because I'm pretty sure if it wasn't for Gwen, he would have left immediately after finding out his brother had died. He wouldn't have even come.
Yeah.
So she did have a purpose. He wouldn't have come in the first place. He would have found out in a letter that his brother died. He wouldn't have come back to the father. Yeah. Because why?
Yeah, he was he had a good career. He was in plays. He's doing Shakespeare. He had I'm under contract for 13 more performances. That's a shitload of performances. I'm surprised you even bothered.
It's a lot of money. It's a lot of work. So he probably would have come to see his brother's body, but he wouldn't have stayed.
Yeah, no reason.
He would have come to the funeral, left immediately after. That's all that would have happened. So she does kind of have that purpose, but her purpose isn't to do anything. Her purpose is just to be the reason to stay.
Yeah. And after that, like, the love interest is kind of shoved in. But, yeah, we've already touched on it.
Yeah. All right. So, next week, we are turning up the scare factor. I believe.
I'm such a
I don't know how I'm going to... It's going to be hard for us to make it through this, but we're going to do it.
Well, some of them aren't even horror, but you'll see that at the end of this anyway, what they're going to be. Yeah. So, that being said, thank you very much for joining us this afternoon, this evening, this morning, wherever the hell you are. Take care.
Goodbye.